All right, this is Kristen from Finding Hope Music Festival, and I'm here with the band When Forever Ends. So I'll just have everyone go around really quick and just say your name and what you do in the band.
My name is Hayden, and I am the vocalist.
My name is Caleb. I play guitar.
My name is Jake, and I play bass.
Awesome. So can you tell me a little bit about how you guys met each other and decided to form the band?
Well, we've been a band for about 10 years now, and I met Jake in college for music. We both went to school there together. And then several years later, I met Hayden at church. I kind of knew that he screamed, and our singer at the time was wanting to quit. So I just kind of approached him like, hey, you want to be in a band? And here we are.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
That was 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You met Jake.
I met Jake
2 years before that.
Yeah, it was like the second day of my first year in college.
Yeah,
so
this-
that was in like 2010.
Yeah.
Dang.
This specific four-piece has been together about 4 or 5 years, but we've been doing it together for about 9-10 years.
Nice.
This August will be our 10th year.
Jeez.
Yep.
It's crazy.
It is
Dedication.
Yeah.
Most little local heavy bands don't make a decade.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So what do you guys think has helped y'all stay together for this long? Like, what's kind of special about the lineup that you guys have?
I think that for the longest time we had an album that we like really believed in, and like songs that we really believed in. Mm-hmm. And there was a point where I was writing this music and I didn't know if it would come out, but that was kind of like the goal, and that those songs essentially became our album, Return to Your Rest. So that was kind of a driving force for a lot of it, was just having something that you really worked hard on and you believed in and you want to make it come to fruition. So
Cool. Nice. So you guys mentioned that you knew each other from church, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like, what kind of response do you guys get, like, in light of the kind of music that you do, like, in the church environment? Are people pretty supportive of it, or?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say it's either don't really care or it's positive. We don't really get any.
There's not really any negative. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of people from our church are awesome. Like, they'll come to our concerts. We've done concerts at our church before. It's never been like a negative thing at all.
Yeah. And we actually, I mean, we wouldn't exist without the church.
Yeah, I mean, they let us practice there. We wrote our
churches,
we wrote our
heck
album
yeah.
there.
We did a lot of stuff at that church.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, we live in an apartment, and you know, I don't know. I just think it's not feasible for us to practice and like compose an album, like without a space, and that was our
Right.
space. I mean, we've had to move out of there for right now, but gosh, we practiced there for like 2-3 years.
Yeah, we would
practiced
store our
there.
stuff in there and everything.
Yeah.
Our church is in a warehouse, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of space for us to keep our gear and stuff.
So at least our local body for sure is pretty supportive and excited about. I mean, it's not like they're like paying us to like they're not like backing us, but it's just like a definitely like, hey, this is the way that these people are using their gifts, and we want to support that in a pure way, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've heard some bands that are in like the heavier side of the Christian rock scene have like run into some opposition from people. So I'm glad y'all's church is being really supportive.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like recording and writing music, like if you guys are ever in like a dry season and just not feeling inspiration, what do you do to get the juices flowing?
I feel like Caleb can't answer this one.
Yeah.
You might be able to.
I usually don't have trouble, honestly. Like, I actually have already written like our next 2 albums, so.
Yeah.
But
He doesn't know what writer's block is.
But
He doesn't
but I do understand that. Like, usually for me, I'll maybe like try to find a new band to listen to inspire me, or maybe try to learn a new song that's kind of challenging, and that'll get the gears flowing again. That's kind of what I would do if I were in a position like that.
And I would say lyrically, when it comes to that, it doesn't flow as easily for me as it does for Caleb with guitar. But I think what helps me to just kind of write a good song or one that I believe in, is to kind of take any kind of like expectations or thinking about the perception of how a song should go or how it should be perceived or whatever, and just focus on like what I want to say, because there's ideas and there's messages and there's values that I want to share, but sometimes the marketability or whatever gets in the way, and just kind of cut all that off and say, like, if I wanted to write something that didn't rhyme or that didn't have some kind of artistic thing to it, like, what am I feeling, and just kind of write out whatever that is. And then you can pick up little phrases that just come out of you, and you're like, okay, that's pretty good. Let me explore that more, because that's like authentic rather than conceived.
That's pretty cool.
So,
what about you?
Full honesty, I don't write a lot of the music. we had a full length that never got released, and I wrote one word, and it was Go. So, when it comes to learning it, because honestly, like, when I joined with Caleb, I wasn't as good as I thought I was, so it's not necessarily a motivation for me to, like, write, but to just keep learning and keep pressing on, because with the music that he writes, not only I think it's good, but it's also, as a musician, it's also challenging as well. So it's like, he's also got much bigger appendages than I do, so whatever he's doing, all this stuff, it's hard to learn, but
I believe in you.
Appreciate it. The motivation is just one day it's gonna all work out. So
cool. So one of the things that we believe at Finding Hope Music Festival is that God has a really unique way of using music in people's lives. So, like, what are some ways that music has changed y'all's lives or had a really big impact on it?
I think for me, in the Bible it says that God is enthroned on the praises of His people, and just growing up in church and either going to worship services or playing in them is really a place where you can encounter the presence of God, because when you praise Him, like, there He is, He comes in and He moves. And I think that that's been something that has really influenced me over the years and just helped me to grow with my relationship with God through music and experiencing Him through worship.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you want to next one?
Yeah, sure. I feel like with music and heavy music and Christian metal, or however you want to kind of approach that, there's so much that I've learned about like what it means to be a human, and of course, like, God is within that as well. Like, we are made as people, and as He also was, and it just kind of like what that story is and what that means. So, like, there's a handful of bands that have taught me, through their music and through their messages or and their passion or their live show, or talking to them after they play and, like, getting to connect with them that way. Just kind of like the more holistic picture of everything, and that, like, praise music doesn't have to be, like a hymn, obviously, and then, but also, like, even like the Christian life doesn't have to be straightforward or prescripted. There's room for like a lot of, like, the finer points of life in that, and I think that metal music in particular, at least the stuff that I've come across, has been good at bringing light to that, rather than just trying to just, like, Christianize it, which I think brings a lot of joy, and, like, then you start to see God in more areas rather than just in that hymn, on Sunday, or it expands the breadth of God's handiwork, I'd say, or our perception of it. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, basically exactly that. Like, I didn't really know that any of this music existed till I was about a junior, maybe sophomore in high school, and then once I found out that heavy music existed, I found out there was people screaming for Jesus, and I'm like, well, that's weird. So yeah, like you said, just the fact that, like, for all this time, like, it's like, from my perception, that Christ was, like, in this box, I guess, of, like, this is a certain song, this is a certain way, stand up, sing the hymn, sit down, drop the money in the plate. But, like, whenever, like, I found out about this, it just kind of broke that box, in the sense it's like God's not just contained inside of this thing. Like, He's in the mosh pit while they're punching each other. He's at the rap concert when, you know what I mean? Like, that was probably the biggest thing for me, was seeing that He just wasn't contained inside the church, inside the building, rather. So yeah.
Cool. Let's see. So I think I saw on y'all's Facebook page, I tried to do a little research on everyone, that you're currently an Unassigned band. Is that still true?
Yes.
What are some of the, like, positives about that? Like, what are some benefits y'all see to being
Get to take
Unassigned?
home all of our money.
Yeah.
I guess. Well,
I have a nice bed I can sleep in every night.
Yeah. It's hard to say because we've never been signed, you know. So everything that we've done has been DIY, pretty much to the max. I mean, we get help as everybody gets help from people that are willing to kind of show you the ropes, but I don't know. We've been wanting to be signed for a long time, just because that's kind of that's what it looks like when you make it, so to speak. And I think that we've kind of dropped that notion, just kind of more experience in knowing, getting to know bands that have been signed or that are currently signed, and kind of what that's like for them, and what are we missing out on, and kind of I think that what we do want to do is independent of a label or backing, financially. I mean we're fortunate enough to be in a position to where we at least have the financial means to at least remain active. We're not about to buy a tour bus or anything, but we can pay for the song that we're about to put out, and we don't need anybody's help doing that. And also then getting to do that, we don't have to have any kind of oversight or whatever. We can when we get the song out, we can release it that night if we want to, rather than being okay, well, new song's great and can't wait for everybody to hear it, but we got these other 3 bands that have got singles and they're first in line, so instead of your song coming out in October, it's going to come out, we're thinking Valentine's Day would be great, and you're well, now what do we do in the meantime? So yeah, getting to do that, I mean, we get to just call all of our own shots, make all of our own mistakes. So, I mean, it's good. I wouldn't say we're missing on anything as far as I know.
Besides the financial backing.
Besides the financial backing, but I mean, it depends on what we're trying to do. I mean, we're not trying to tour across the country right now. We're not trying to write 5 albums consecutively. We can incrementally take care of ourselves right now. It'd be nice, for sure, but we're doing okay. We've done some good things.
We're at the green still.
Oh no, we're not.
Oh well, we're not. We were.
No, we will never see the money back that we put into this over the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's true.
Gear, gas,
the album.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Anyways, but it's all worth it. It's all worth it. We believe in it, and that's really important. We're still really proud of all of the stuff that we've done and made, and we find that to be worth any kind of cost, really.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm actually a writer on the side too, so I do all of my own stuff. I don't have a publisher, and it's the same thing. It's I believe in what I'm doing, and I don't have to have oversight and have people tell me what to do and what not to do. I can just go based on what I feel like the Lord's telling me to do. So I can relate to what you're saying about that. So like I said, I creeped on y'all's Facebook, and I saw Psalms were listed as your influences. So what are some of y'all's favorite Psalms?
Ooh, great question. Y'all go first. Let me pull this up.
Mine's always the Psalm 23, man. That's just, I don't know. That was the first one I definitely learned. That was the first one my parents taught me, but it's just, to me, it's a pretty good blanket statement for anything that you need. Whether it be, obviously not too specific, but anything that you're going through, what you're saying, mental illness or just depression, or you're down in the lows. It's a very good sharpening tool for the spirituality.
Have you ever read A Shepherd's Look at Psalm 23?
No.
It's a book this big. It's tiny, and it's written by an actual shepherd, and he talks about the different aspects of Psalm 23 related to what a real shepherd does, and it really opens your eyes. That's why he talks about anointing the head and what.
Yes,
and that's why he's talking about
read
this.
that.
It's really
absolutely.
good. Yeah.
For sure. What's it called again?
A Shepherd's Look at Psalm 23.
Shepherd's Look at. Type that
There
out.
you go.
Terrible memory.
What about y'all?
I'm going to go with Psalm 121. I lift my eyes to the mountains. From where shall my help come? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. Good stuff.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah. I have a ton to choose from. So yeah, I added Psalms to our interests 5 years ago when I joined the band, and had to revamp our Facebook page because nobody else would do it. I mean, so there's so many to choose from. Obviously, the one that comes first to mind that it would be poor of me not to bring it up. Psalm 116, verse 7 is where our album title comes from.
Okay.
So the first like chunk of that psalm is to just kind of skim over it. It's like the cords of death entangled me, anguish of the grave came over me. Call on the name of the Lord, save me. So the psalmist is talking about like just kind of worry, like overcome by distress and sorrow. That was a place that I found myself in August of 2016 in my life when we were heavily writing the album and trying to figure out what we were going to do. And the phrase at the end of that chunk of scripture is, "Return to your rest, my soul, for the Lord has been good to you." And that really spoke to me a lot. Just kind of like it truly, like the Lord ministered through that, like, return to your rest, my soul. Like, remember the Lord, remember how He's good to you, like, and kind of being able to speak to the soul as like a different entity. It was like you know, I don't know, be in right standing, my soul, I guess I would say, in remembrance of the Lord. And so that meant a lot. And so we named the album "Return to Your Rest" off of that, because I think that a lot of the songs that we wrote can also fit into that kind of story of, like, you know, grief and distress, yet the Lord, you know, we can remember the Lord and His goodness. And that, I don't know, that's super important to me.
Cool. So kind of piggybacking off of that, like when you guys are like in a low season or when you're feeling discouraged, like what do you guys do to re-encourage yourselves or to turn to the Lord during those times?
Yeah.
I would say worship and pray. Read the Word. Get involved with your church community and share your heart with people and get them to pray for you, and just be real with people and upfront stuff you're going through.
Yeah, definitely the church.
Community is important.
Because, like, I'll work 5 days straight through the week, and my day off starts on Sunday, and, like, I'm just worn down physically and emotionally. But then when I get to church, it's just not even the fact that, like, obviously you're there for Jesus, but it's just, like, the community that the church brings, and it's just, you only see these people once a week, and it's cool, but, like, they just bring that energy that just, in a way, refills the gas tank, in a sense, to where, like, you're just ready to go for the rest of the next week. So that's a big influence, and Caleb does as well. But we both lead worship at our different churches, help lead worship. So just having that position as well, like, kind of forces you to, like, bring the congregation to worship. So, like, just all of that together just definitely brings me out of the lows for sure. So playing music and praying.
Nice.
Yeah, one thing that I think I found to be important for me and invaluable for me is to, you know, even when it's hard, is to look at the certain promises or the dynamics in Scripture that exist. I think that there's a lot of things that are like, if this, then this will happen. You know, I don't, like, for example, would be like seek first the kingdom, and all of this will be added unto you. You know, like testing these spiritual principles that, you know, lead to joy. You know, it says that it says, yeah, in the Bible that if you do this or that, like, the joy of the Lord will be on you, or whatever, and just kind of like, rather than just kind of a blanket, like, oh, I'm going to pray about it or whatever. I think that not that those are bad, you know, examples, but I think for me I need concrete type of things and principles. One thing I think is valuable, and especially because of the way that you phrase that in Ecclesiastes, which is certainly a unique book. One thing that I think is valuable is the way that it. I guess this part here in chapter 2, it says, "Nothing, or a person could do nothing better than to eat and drink and find satisfaction in their own toil. This too I see is from the hand of God, for without Him who can eat or find enjoyment? The person who pleases Him, God gives wisdom, knowledge, happiness," and keeps going. There's just stuff in there that's like reminding you that, like, there's things around you that are good, and those things are also of God. So whether it's your community, whether it's a really good meal, whether it's a good time outside or things like that, God is present in those, and His goodness is like shining through that, rather than kind of seeing that a part of things, or a part of your current situation or your current emotions or your depression or anything like that. It's seeing it in a larger lens, or in a lens that where good things are God, rather than why isn't God being a part of these good things? He is, inherently, in my opinion.
Cool. Let's see. So what would you guys say has been your biggest accomplishment as a band?
Audio feed, I'd
Yeah.
say. Singularly.
Yeah, that or our album. That's something I'm pretty proud of.
Oh, yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
so for basically like a big, like for everybody to understand audio feed, that big festival, that was definitely a thing. But for us personally, it was definitely getting the album out, just because like with Caleb, there was just even in music school, there was just so much like stuff that he would play that is on the album now, and we just whether it was like because we had a full length that we recorded, and then like right before we released it, like everybody besides me and him quit. So it's like, well, we can't release that if it's just two, because where are we gonna play it? You know.
Yeah, we basically had to reform our band, and for several years we were in a position with a drummer that like just got married. He was a lot older than us, and so we couldn't practice, we couldn't do a lot, so we just kind of recorded a small EP and like another 2-song thing. And in the meantime, I was writing this other music that became our album. And some of that dates back to like 2012.
Yep.
So just to see that finally come to life after 6 years ish, you know, is a huge thing. Because I mean, to me, there's easily a world where this album doesn't exist at all. Like just one single moment, like, and even after Chris, our old drummer, quit, we were like, we need a drummer. We're in Waco. There's not really a music scene here, and just like literally a few weeks later, we found that Brennan, our current drummer, was like moving to Waco. We had like mutual friends, and he liked the music we liked. We met with them, and like the rest is kind of history. And to this day, I see Brennan joining our band as one of the greatest answer to prayer that I've ever seen in my life. 'Cause it's very easy that Brennan moves to Waco and we don't even know that he's there, like, or just any connection like that isn't made, and none of this happens. Like it's just one small step away.
Yeah, and that was in that era that I was talking about with where like Return to Rest came from. In like the summer of 2016, we had just lost our drummer, and we were on blocks. Like we couldn't write, we couldn't record, we couldn't play shows, we couldn't do anything at all. We couldn't practice because we didn't have a drummer. And for probably like 5-ish months, several months, and it wasn't like we'll just get through this, and then we'll be able to get to the other side of it. Like there was no other side of it.
Like,
so
is this the end?
Yeah, it could have been. And like if Brennan doesn't show up in Waco, you know, then this album doesn't happen. And if we aren't a band in Waco, then Brennan doesn't get to fulfill himself playing the drums. It was very much like it was a perfect fit. Because he was worried that I'm going to move to Waco and there's no metal there. I'm going to have to keep my drums in a storage closet. Nobody's going to let me. I'm not going to get to play them anymore. Like except for one band who is in desperate need of a drummer. And then like it just the fact that like you said it could have so easily not happened, and to actually record it well. We put some good funding and good resources and good people behind it, and
it's
like to hold it. I mean, I couldn't 5 years ago when we started the band. I mean, it's really a dream to do something that serious, and we did. Like, nobody can take that away from us. You know, that album's out forever. So we're
That's awesome. All right, so last question. What is the most important thing that you want people to know about your band?
Ooh.
Love.
I don't know.
I mean that's my answer, because it's just at the end of the day, because like we preach and our music's very obviously Christ-centered, but there's people that will just hear the fact that we even like Jesus and like, no, we're not doing anything with that. So my thing at least is like, if they're not going to listen to the fact that we like Jesus, at least listen to the fact that like, just listen to the message of love. You know what I mean? Just hope and love. The fact that like no matter how low you are, I mean, listening to our music isn't going to solve your answers, but it'll at least just get you through the day. And if anything comes out of it, and if you don't become born again, and if you don't become close to God, at least listening to it, or at least like knowing us and meeting us, or whatever, just knows that like at least there's 4 guys that care about me. At least there's 4 guys that have hope in me. You know, that's my official answer.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good question. That's like an important question.
That is a really good question.
So that's the last one.
I need to think about that, especially now that like our album's been out. Time to move on to something different and keep progressing. What do we want to carry with us?
I guess to some degree, I would hope that people could maybe relate to some of the messages in the songs. A lot of the lyrics that Hayden have written are very personal about things that he's felt and he's gone through, and a lot of them also kind of have this entry of God at the end where he's speaking into these.
Yes.
Like there's one song in particular, "Breach the Borders," that talks about depression and anxiety and fear, and at the end it's kind of this moment where Jesus comes and he sets free from that. So just number one, that people could relate to that and see that there's freedom from these kind of things through Jesus. And also just in general that they would encounter God through our music would be something that I would be passionate about. Because like I said before, he inherits the praise of his people, and like this music is praise, it's to glorify God, and through that like he will inhabit that and be a part of it as well.
Yeah.
Especially, yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be that like we being humans, are invited into the story of what God is doing, big picture and personally as well. That's such a really good question. I with all of the lyrics that I wrote, I kind of put them to the test as I was writing them. Like, does it sound good? Does it make sense? Does it fit the music? And then, do I believe in it? And so, a lot of times, like that third tier or third test, like I'd have to, scrap that and try to write something else. Even though it's difficult to like to write an album, like you just kind of want to get it done, and whatever works. But I really did, like Caleb said, like put some personal stuff in that. And not because like I think that my story is important and I want to share it, but because I think that we're super similar in a lot of different ways, and God has been good through it all, and He's been powerful through it all. He's been patient through it all, in perfection. When there needs to be like deliverance, there's that. Where there needs to be challenging, there's that. Where there needs to be growth or steps of faith, there's that, but it's all done in perfect love that I'm trying to learn more about and try to walk out. So I think that just inviting people into that story in a way that's not my way or the highway type of music, which I also can enjoy that kind of stuff from time to time, and it has its place, but what the message that I want people to have is one of like an intertwining of that story, rather than like a hey, be better, hey, you should read your Bible. It's like there's so much more to that, and I'm excited about the way that God moves that way.
Awesome. So where can people go to find out more information about you guys?
We're on all the social media stuff. Not super active on Twitter. But Instagram is a good way to interact with us. We read all those messages and stuff. That's at WFE_TX. So tag us in your stories or something, and we'll share it and stuff. That's kind of the best way.
Yeah.
Facebook works.
Facebook, yeah.
It just seems like we reach more people with Instagram.
Yeah, we
so
have a lot bigger following on Instagram, and then all of our music, and then including whenever we release a new one, is on all the platforms: YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. iTunes is Apple, Google, Amazon, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the music. But again, if you just want to talk to us, Instagram. I'm pretty sure I can speak for them. If anybody needs to talk to us, I'm pretty sure our DMs are open. So just find us. We'll find somebody to talk to you. So
yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you for the interview.
Thank you
for
talking
thank
to
you.
us. Make us feel cool.